Just 5 minutes every morning in this position triggers your testosterone. That testosterone is one of the most important hormones in male life. You probably already know. It impacts muscle mass, strength, energy, libido, and even your mentality. The problem is that starting at 30 years old, you lose about 1% of testosterone per year. Letting levels drop like this, without taking any action, can generate devastating consequences: muscle loss, abdominal fat accumulation, chronic fatigue, low libido, depression, and even difficulty concentrating. In short, your body literally enters decline mode. The good news is that you don't need any substance to reverse this. There are some strategic isometric postures that activate large muscle groups and generate such intense metabolic stress that your body has no choice. It needs to increase testosterone production to adapt. That's why today you'll see the 6 positions that do exactly that. Before we begin, please tell us through the comments your name and the city where you're watching our content from. We'd love to know. Exercise number 6. Isometric mountain climber. The isometric mountain climber is a posture that combines the best of both worlds: core stabilization work and intense activation of the body's anterior chain. Unlike the dynamic version, where you alternate legs quickly, here you maintain one leg elevated and the other extended, creating constant tension that your body interprets as a significant metabolic challenge. What makes this exercise particularly valuable is its ability to simultaneously activate the abdomen, hip flexors, shoulders, and chest, forcing your body to recruit a massive amount of muscle fibers to maintain the position. When you activate so many muscle groups at the same time, especially in the morning when your hormone levels are naturally more elevated, you create the perfect environment for an anabolic response. Your body understands it needs to adapt to this stress, and testosterone is one of the main hormones responsible for this adaptation. To execute correctly, start in a high plank position, with hands aligned directly under the shoulders and the body forming a straight line from heels to head. Bring one knee toward the chest, keeping the hip low and aligned while the other leg remains completely extended. The secret is to keep the core contracted, as if you were preparing to receive a punch, preventing the hip from rotating or rising. Do 3 sets of 30 to 45 seconds on each side, resting 45 seconds between sets. Over time, you can progress to 60 seconds or reduce the interval to 30 seconds. The main errors to avoid are raising the hip too much, which removes tension from the abdomen, letting the shoulders misalign forward of the hands, overloading the joints, and allowing the lower back to arch, creating dangerous compensations. People with wrist or shoulder problems should be cautious, and those with abdominal hernias should avoid the exercise. Number 5. L-sit. The L-sit is a brutally effective isometric posture that works the entire anterior chain of the body intensely, with special emphasis on the core and hip flexors. Originating from artistic gymnastics practices, this exercise requires you to maintain the legs extended in front of the body while the torso remains upright, creating a 90-degree angle. The extreme difficulty of this movement forces deep muscular activation that few exercises can replicate. What happens here is fascinating from a hormonal point of view. By maintaining the abdominal muscles, hip flexors, and quadriceps under constant tension, you generate metabolic stress that signals to the body the need to increase hormonal production to deal with the demand. Additionally, the posture demands tremendous isometric strength from the spinal erectors to keep the torso upright, recruiting deep, stabilizing muscles that are rarely worked so intensely. To execute correctly, sit on the floor with legs extended in front. Place hands beside the hip, with fingers pointing forward or slightly to the sides. Press your hands against the floor and, using the strength of the core and hip flexors, elevate the hip and legs off the ground, keeping the legs completely straight and together. The body should form a perfect L, with the torso perpendicular to the floor. Keep your gaze forward and neck neutral, avoiding throwing the head back. Start with 3 sets of 10 to 20 seconds, resting 1 minute between them. As you gain strength, increase the time to 30 seconds or more. Common errors include bending the knees to make it easier, which completely eliminates the quadriceps challenge, rounding the back instead of maintaining an erect spine, compromising posture and effectiveness, and using momentum to rise instead of controlled strength. This is an advanced exercise, so people with wrist, shoulder, or lower back problems should avoid it or seek modified variations with additional support. Number 4. Unilateral Isometric Glute Bridge. The unilateral isometric glute bridge is a powerful variation of the traditional bridge that places massive load on the gluteus maximus, the largest muscle in the human body. And you know what happens when you intensely activate the largest muscle in your body. You create a potent systemic hormonal response. The gluteus maximus isn't just large by chance, it's responsible for hip extension, a fundamental movement in practically everything we do, from walking to lifting weight. When you execute the unilateral bridge, you're forcing a single glute to work double, sustaining the weight of the entire torso and leg against gravity. This unilateral overload generates muscle fiber recruitment far superior to the bilateral version, creating a perfect metabolic environment to signal to the body that it needs more testosterone to adapt and grow. Additionally, the posture also intensely activates the hamstrings and spinal erectors, transforming the movement into a complete posterior chain exercise. To execute correctly, lie on your back with one knee bent and foot supported on the floor, while the other leg stays extended, aligned with the supporting knee. Press the heel against the ground and elevate the hip until the body forms a straight line from shoulders to the extended knee. Keep the core contracted and prevent the hip from rotating to either side. The arms can stay beside the body to provide stability or crossed over the chest to increase the challenge. The secret is to intensely squeeze the glute at the top of the movement and maintain this contraction throughout the entire isometric hold. Perform 3 sets of 30 to 45 seconds on each side, with 45 seconds of rest between switches. Progress by increasing the time to 60 seconds or elevating the extended leg a few inches higher. Common errors include letting the hip drop to one side, losing alignment and effectiveness, hyperextending the lower back at the top, which removes tension from the glute and overloads the lumbar region, and not maintaining the extended leg completely straight and aligned. People with lumbar problems should be careful with the range of motion and can start with the bilateral version before progressing to the unilateral. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Having constant access to science-based information is what will make you progress with health in the long term in the world of bodybuilding. Number 3. Bear plank. The bear plank is a variation of the traditional plank that adds an element of instability and leg tension that completely transforms the exercise. In this posture, you maintain the knees elevated a few inches off the floor while sustaining the body over the hands and feet, creating continuous tension in practically all the body's muscles. What differentiates the bear plank from a common plank is the extreme activation of the quadriceps, hip flexors, and lower abdomen, combined with intense work of the shoulders and chest. Keeping the knees suspended demands impressive motor control and isometric strength from muscle groups that normally aren't recruited as much in static exercises. This combination of instability and maximum tension creates a metabolic environment that your body recognizes as extremely challenging, triggering hormonal signals to increase adaptation capacity. To execute correctly, start in the quadruped position, with hands aligned under the shoulders and knees under the hips. Keep the back straight and core activated. Now, elevate the knees about 5 to 10 centimeters off the floor, transferring weight to the balls of the feet and maintaining the position. The body should form a straight line from head to hip, with knees slightly bent but not touching the ground. The secret is to distribute weight evenly between hands and feet, keeping the abdomen contracted as if preparing for impact. Do 3 sets of 20 to 40 seconds, resting 50 seconds between them. Progress by gradually increasing the time to 1 minute or reducing rest. The main errors to avoid are raising the hip too much, transforming the exercise into a pyramid, and removing tension from the core, letting all the weight fall back onto the arms, unnecessarily overloading the shoulders, and allowing the lower back to arch or the knees to touch the floor. People with wrist or shoulder problems should modify the exercise by supporting themselves on the forearms, and those with a history of hernias should avoid it or seek professional guidance. Number 2. Isometric push-up. The isometric push-up is simply you stopping in the middle of the movement of a traditional push-up and maintaining that position. It seems simple, but it's incredibly challenging and brutally effective for generating muscular tension. When you hold the push-up at the midpoint, where the chest is most stretched and the muscles are in the position of greatest mechanical demand, you create an overload that goes beyond what would be possible only with the dynamic version of the exercise. The chest, anterior deltoids, triceps, and core are activated simultaneously at maximum levels, creating fiber recruitment that your body interprets as a clear signal that it needs to strengthen. Can you imagine the impact of this on your daily training? Additionally, the need to stabilize the entire body during the isometric hold recruits the spinal erectors, glutes, and even the quadriceps, making this an almost full-body exercise. To execute correctly, start in the initial position of a traditional push-up, with hands slightly wider than the shoulders and body forming a straight line. Descend slowly until the elbows form a 90-degree angle, with the chest a few inches off the floor. Maintain this position, ensuring the core is contracted and the body continues in a straight line. The elbows should remain at approximately 45 degrees angle relative to the torso, not completely open to the sides. Remember that the quality of the posture is more important than the time maintained. Do 3 sets of 15 to 30 seconds, resting 45 seconds between them. As you get stronger, progress to 45 seconds or try slightly lower positions. Common errors include letting the hip drop or rise, breaking body alignment, allowing the elbows to open too much, overloading the shoulders, and not maintaining the head neutral, looking down instead of forward. People with shoulder or wrist injuries should be cautious, and an alternative is to perform the isometric push-up with knees supported on the floor to reduce the load. Number 1. Boat pose. The boat pose comes directly from yoga and is one of the most complete isometric exercises for the core you can do. In this position, you balance on the glutes while maintaining the torso and legs elevated, creating a V with the body. The tension generated in the abdomen, especially in the rectus abdominis and deep hip flexors, is monumental. What many people don't know is that this posture doesn't just work superficial musculature, but demands intense recruitment of deep stabilizing muscles, like the transversus abdominis and internal obliques. Maintaining balance in this position forces you to activate the entire core in a coordinated way, creating metabolic stress that contributes significantly to the hormonal response. Additionally, the quadriceps need to work intensely to keep the legs suspended and straight, adding even more muscular demand to the exercise. To execute correctly, sit on the floor with knees bent and feet supported. Lean the torso slightly back, keeping the back straight, and elevate the feet off the floor, extending the legs until forming a 45-degree angle with the ground. The arms can stay extended forward, parallel to the floor, to help with balance. The body should form a V, balancing on the sitting bones. The secret is to keep the chest open and shoulders back, avoiding rounding the back. If it's too challenging initially, keep the knees bent instead of extending the legs completely. Perform 3 sets of 20 to 40 seconds, resting 50 seconds between them. Progress by gradually increasing the time or keeping the legs completely straight and lower. Common errors include rounding the spine, which places pressure on the lower back and reduces core activation, excessively tensing the shoulders and neck, letting the legs drop too low, losing the V position, and the exercise's effectiveness. People with lumbar problems or abdominal hernias should avoid this exercise or seek a modified version with legs more elevated and knees bent. Bonus exercise, Superman. If you do these 6 exercises consistently, you'll already see an enormous change in your disposition and strength in daily life. But here's one more exercise to complete your development even further. The Superman is an isometric posture that works the entire posterior chain of the body, with special focus on the spinal erectors, glutes, and hamstrings. In this exercise, you lie face down and simultaneously elevate the arms and legs, keeping only the abdomen and hip in contact with the floor, creating complete extension of the spine. What makes the Superman especially relevant for increasing testosterone is the fact that it activates large muscles of the posterior chain that are frequently neglected in other isometric exercises. The spinal erectors, which run along the entire vertebral column, are essential for body posture and stability, and strengthening them creates a solid foundation for all other movements. Additionally, the Superman helps balance muscular work, since the other exercises focused mainly on the anterior chain. To execute correctly, lie face down with arms extended in front of the head and legs straight. Simultaneously, elevate the chest, arms and legs off the floor, keeping your gaze down to avoid neck hyperextension. The idea is to create a smooth curve in the spine, as if you were flying, intensely contracting the glutes and back muscles. Keep the arms and legs completely straight, avoiding bending the elbows or knees. The secret is not to force excessive extension, maintaining controlled movement, and focusing on muscular contraction. Do 3 sets of 20 to 40 seconds, resting 50 seconds between sets. Progress by increasing the time to 50 or 60 seconds as you gain strength. The main errors to avoid are hyperextending the neck, looking up instead of down, forcing the lower back too much, creating exaggerated extension that can cause discomfort, and elevating only the arms or only the legs, losing the exercise's balance. People with lumbar problems or history of disc hernias should avoid this exercise or perform it with very discreet elevations and under professional guidance. If you liked this and want to also discover another 6 isometric postures focused on the legs, capable of totally changing the lower part of your body in just a few weeks, we've left a video appearing right now on the screen showing each of them better. Don't miss it. Thank you for watching until here, and may God bless you, my friend.